You're tuned in to Real Talk with Tamara, where conversations are real, voices are heard, and the real stars here. The real stars here. No filter, no fear. Truth in the mic, let the whole world hear. Stories unfold, voices sincere. Welcome to the place where the real stars here. Life and love to the latest news. Community voices, different views. Breaking it down so we all stay clear. Honest conversations live right here. Speak your truth, let it be known. This is the space where your voice has a home. No judgment here, just real and clear. Real talk with Tamara, the real starts here.
Real talk with Tamara. Real people. Real stories. Real truth.
How are you, Damon?
I am doing fine, Tamara. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing really good. I want to take this opportunity to introduce you guys. Today, I will be interviewing Mr. Damon Morris Curry. He is running for Shelby County School Board. Y'all know we talk about the school board a lot and everything that has been happening on this show and how important it is to get the right people on there, right? But he's running for District 9. And believe it or not, Damon, I have a lot of people that look at this show from the Orange Mound area. You know, I covered the Young Dolph case. I was very dedicated. And so I had a lot of people to tune in to the show and just stay with me just from covering that case. But I'm glad to have you on today.
Well, I appreciate you having me on today. I think that this election, I've really been pandering it all day long. We know tomorrow starts early voting. And, you know, it's I'm excited, but yet I'm so well versed in the Memphis politics until, you know, it is kind of bittersweet for me, so to speak, you know, heading into this election.
Okay, before we get into because I've been following, you know, I've definitely been following the politics and everything, especially just the Memphis politics as a whole. And believe it or not, you have so many people that's on the outside of Memphis that pay attention, and I think they just look at it to be amused, like, and I think oftentimes in disbelief the way that a lot of things are handled as it relates to the Memphis politics. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a native Memphian. I was raised by my grandparents. My grandmother was chairman of the board of a program called Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. I come from, that was a state program across the state of Tennessee. A lot of people don't remember it because that's a lot out of their age range, so to speak. But I was raised by my grandparents in South Memphis. My grandmother is a native of Orange Mound. The Gwen Curry Morris family are natives of Orange Mound and South Memphis. I was born in the back of my grandmother's 1978 Chevrolet on Wabash Street over in Dixie Heights. I have my life has been dedicated to education. Not only as a classroom teacher, not only as a college professor, not only as a instructor of students internationally now. You know, I have been groomed in education, not only being a classroom teacher or administrator or working at the school base of that. I've also been a community organizer, also have been executive director of one of the most successful youth organizations in the history of Memphis, in Teen Town University. You know, not only just those aspects of education, but also educational law. You know, knowing the rules, policies, and procedures that govern us which is something that a lot of people don't understand, dealing with Nashville at this point. I'm a graduate of Lemoyne College. I have a bachelor's in political science, pre-law, and international relations. I also have a master's degree in public administration. I have several certifications from several high-profile universities, Arizona State University, where I was a college professor. I have certifications from Howard, Harvard, Princeton, in contract writing, grant writing, things of that nature. I have an extensive education. Education, has been my life. I taught in Legacy Memphis City Schools for 22 years. Schools Sheffield, Treadwell, American Way Middle, and Windridge Elementary Schools, so to speak. So I've been very versed and have been a very big advocate with my three children coming through Legacy Memphis City Schools, and one of my children who actually graduated during the merger. So as far as me being an advocate for education, that's part of my career. I believe that building that foundation for students and making them productive community members here in Memphis and Shelby County, when we're talking about job growth, when we're talking about social economic issues, when we're talking about, I just asked a candidate last night that's running for assessor of property. I said, there's even things that I think we need to get an outside the box approach thinking to education in Memphis and Shelby County. So, we'll probably divulge a little bit more into that, but that's a little bit about my background. It's nothing flashy, nothing, I haven't torn down the world. I just have advocated for children. I just
want you to know, just sitting here listening to you speak about all of your certifications and your education, it is definitely a big deal. I'm looking at my live chat. She said, "Oh, okay, then." I mean, it is definitely a big deal. It's something because I'm in school now and I'm finishing out my degree in pre-law, and it's funny, before you even said that, just listening to you, even on your Facebook, sometimes I've been very impressed, and I'm not easily impressed with people, especially not easily impressed with people, but I have been extremely impressed with your dedication and your fight. And I was listening to you one night, and I came on here, y'all. I got that slogan from him because I grew up in South Memphis, in Clementine, actually. And when you said I'm South Memphis, what you say, South Memphis bred?
I'm South Memphis born, South Memphis bred, and when I die, I'll be South Memphis dead.
South Memphis dead. I got that from you. I got on here and said that one night. Now, we've been talking about the school board. Listen, I just want to take my hats off to you all. Like, it's just with the Memphis politics, and I think for a long time, people have felt like, especially in Memphis, that there was nothing that they can do. But to see you all come along and see how you all have been fighting and have been getting results, and I think it's starting to, just you and the group of people that have been around you, you all are some fighters, okay? And I want you to know that's the reason why I sent you that message that night. I was like, I am just so proud of him. And I know that it's not just you, because I was looking at the Carpenter ladies and LaShanta Rudd, who I definitely support 100%. It's just been a group of you all that has not been quiet and has been rising up and giving the citizens of Memphis hope again, letting them know that they hold the power to change the politics in Memphis. Because I think a lot of people think, well, my vote don't count. It ain't nothing I can do. Yes, it is. Look at the results that you all have been getting. And I want to take my hats off to you I like to give people their flowers, okay? And I want you to know that you all have been doing a great job. I truly believe that you are going to win this race. I know, I was like, I got to get him on here because I have a lot of people from Orange Mound to the Orange Mound area to look at my show, and they need to know who to vote for. They know that I don't play about their voting because I've been having to control myself. I get on here and cuss some folks out in a minute. But I've been telling them, listen, hey, my dad was in politics. My dad taught me politics. And just to see, just how it has been in Memphis, I mean, it has been extremely sad. But to see you all rising up, and hey, I think when we have these platforms, it's good to use them for such as this, because even with this being pre-recorded, I'm going to put after this is live actually, but I'm going to download it and put it on my TV show probably one day next week. Okay. But tell us, we'll get all into that, but tell us why we should vote for you and why you decided that now is the time for you to run.
Well, Tamara, first of all, a lot of people don't know, after we went through that merger and that demerger, District 9 was a new district. I ran for it the first time. I was not successful. I was just coming out the school district, and even with my fight inside of the school district internally, I ran into some of the same challenges that that the average community member is running into with the school board. Even with me being an employee and on the inside, and I'm out here ringing the bells and sounding the alarms, saying, hey, y'all, this is what's going on, inside. Even my union rep, and I'm union strong all day long. I'm a member of the Teamsters Local 667.
Absolutely. My dad was over Local 1288.
And my grandfather was a Teamster. Wow. So, to hear my union rep, and I have nothing against the teachers union, but to hear my union rep when they tried to blackball me out of the district, to hear my union rep tell me, hey, don't appeal this. You better play ball. And if you don't play ball, they can do something worse to you. To hear that, and now that I'm a member of Local 667, where I see the fight every time I go to a union meeting, I see the passion in people, and it's a melting pot of people in the Teamsters. White, black, Hispanic, you name it. People that are fighting for fairness. Okay, and that's one thing that drives that's one of my drives. I wasn't going to run for office again, Tamara. A group of teachers, community leaders, current candidates, plant managers, students. We were at an event, and one candidate sat me down with all of these people and just blindsided me. Damon, you got to run. My first initial answer was no, I'm not running again. I'm not getting in that machine and, running again. I said, because it's tainted. Everything in this county is tainted. Okay. I said, I'm not going to run, but they insisted. They said, come on, professor. This is for the people. You're running for the people. Come on. So they convinced me to run again for this district. Some of the people were voicing their opinions about the incumbent. Right now, how they were displeased with the leadership during the time that there was a critical time during the district, from the school board 5 situation all the way up to the firing of Dr. Marie Fagans. Right. They were very displeased with the leadership of the incumbent who was, and let me make this clear to everybody. I'm not into bashing anybody, but I am into telling the truth. I am into making you aware of what happened, because we got a real atonement problem with our elected leaders here in Memphis and Shelby County. Okay, they're playing in our faces, and they're not being transparent at all. I just got off the city council meeting, and I was just wowed by our council and our county commission. Some of them, it's not all, some of them that are tone deaf to the needs of the people. I'll give you a prime example. Every April, to the sanitation department, they cherry pick certain people to mess with in certain communities because they know that they're going to call down to City Hall and complain about trash not being picked up, streets not being cleaned, everything like that. They do it every year. I called it to my councilwoman's attention. I said, y'all know I recorded the live last year. I said, we'll revisit this next year. You know, and it has happened again because they're rallying for raises. I understand. Let me tell you something. I'm union strong all day long. And I understand that people need a livable wage here in Memphis and Shelby County. However, we cannot build an economy on the backs of poor people. Absolutely. Because you're gonna allow poor people to suffer while you all are playing games with people who are living in poverty's lives. I will never be on board for that. Okay, ever. I don't care who you are. I would never be on board for that because that translates into poverty-stricken parents. That means that we're going to have poverty-stricken children that are suffering.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's how I look at it. I don't know about any other candidates. That's how I look at it. You know, and that's one reason why I'm running, because several students called me, several youth advocacy groups, Youth Minds United, my own organization that I advise, the Underground, you know, they was like, you know, nothing has changed after this new regime has taken. Only thing that they have done to us is taken away our phones, and we can't record the things that are going on in the school anymore. You know, and they said that is really not being transparent. These are students talking, Tamara. These are students talking.
Wow.
You know, they're not being transparent about what we're going through in these schools. Programs that have been cut, CCTE programs that have been cut. People have calling in asking questions. People that want a partnership with the district, but with this audit that just came out, everything seems to be frozen. You know, I have a classmate of mine. I graduated Hamilton High School. This is our 30th year reunion. I graduated Hamilton High School in 1996. I have a classmate who has the first full service nail school in the state of Tennessee. She has been trying to partner with the district for years. Told them free of charge. She's funding her own thing, but she wants to work with students. They're refusing to work with her. I've had her talk to council people. I've had her talk to the school board. The school board seems to be tone deaf to these things that are going on. And that's one reason why I'm running. This corruption has to stop. It's enough is enough.
They won't work with her. Why do you think they won't work with her?
I don't know. I mean, I've talked to her on the phone. She was the one who alerted me to a graduation program that was a partnership with Rhodes, Lemoyne, and the University of Memphis, and all of the area colleges that had been cut back in December. I couldn't get a straight answer. And one reason why I was so adamant about it, because it was a program that was offered at our alma mater, Hamilton High School. You know, and I have a niece and a nephew, a junior and a freshman that goes to Hamilton High School. And I would love for them to have partaked in that program. You know, but now it's been cut and nobody even knows about it. I talked to a board member about it. They said, yeah, we're aware it had been cut, but they didn't alert the board. See, those are things that need to be that need to be talked about, that need to be discussed. It shouldn't be a Overton High School student who takes a CCTE class at Sheffield Career Technology Center, which is in District 9, called the incumbent, has went through his teacher. He wants to be a chef, but he's cooking on burners that you would have in a studio apartment if you were living in poverty.
Wow.
How would you become a Michelin star chef, which I know a lot about because we had 2 Michelin star chefs come out of Teentown University. Mm-hmm. And I know what that process looks like. So how is he supposed to get the things that he needs? And my nephew, takes the they touted that cybersecurity class that they had obtained over at Hamilton High School. It was a big deal. My nephew tells me every day when I ask, he just got out the hospital. We call him Nephew Beta. He just got out the hospital. And while I was visiting him in the hospital, I asked him, I said, well, what about the cybersecurity class? It was supposed to have been such a big deal. He said, we don't do anything in there.
Wow.
He said, we don't have what we need. All of this technology.
You and I are you and I are exactly the same age. When we were in school, we had, I say this all the time, we had Votech. I took wood shop. We had home economics. They taught us how to cook. They taught us how to sew. They had auto mechanic. So this was starting at Lanier over there at Lanier Junior High School. They would go over, we would be at wood shop or in home ec, and the boys would be over there learning how to fix cars. At least they knew how to use their hands. They had trades to know how to make money. They removed all of this from the schools.
When we talk about educational funding, let me speak to this as one of the only two in the District 9 race that are true Democrats. Okay. One of my opponents and me, we are true Democrats. We're members of the party. We're ECs in the party. One of my opponents is on the TNDP. Okay. We can have this Republican and Democrat debate all day long. But I told somebody the other day, one of these days, I'm going to get on this Facebook Live and I'm going to spend a couple of hours outlining how we got to where we are. Look, throw out the situation with Marie Fagans. That just opened the door for the Republicans to come in. One of the school board members said it. Okay. The Republicans have been trying to find a way in to make sure that they take over this county. So what do you do, as I'm quoting Representative Karen Campbell? Don't bring this up here, because it's a lot of people that are out here voting and they're talking about Democrat and Republican, and they don't know what a supermajority means. And I mean, not just the words, actually on paper, what are the powers that a supermajority has? Okay. If we continue to say, well, we're going to fight the Republicans, how many actual Democrats in this state, in a deep red, which is becoming a MAGA state, do we have to fight these processes? And one thing that I say that is wrong with Shelby County is because we're continuously fighting each other.
Absolutely.
Somebody called me the other day and said, Damon, this is what I would like to see. I would like to see at least one of those board members stand up and say, y'all, we were wrong. We shouldn't have done X, Y, and Z. Because as I told another reporter today, Tamara, from my observations, this school district has become so disbanded from the community before and after whatever happened last year. They have become so disbanded until I don't think that relationship can be repaired.
Wow.
When we finally got the numbers of the amount of students, and see, this was another thing. They didn't want to tell the truth about how many students actually disenrolled in Memphis and Shelby County. You have charter schools that are busting at the seams. The reason why I know about the charter network, because my grandson goes to a charter. He's been going to a charter ever since he was in kindergarten. Let me make it clear to your listening audience. I am for an educational option because that's where we are right now. Parents, you have to take your child, go research schools and see what is the best educational option for your child. What programs do they have in that institution that will benefit your child and your child's needs? We're looking at the individual student. That's what I mean on my platform, Tamara, when I say student-centered focused thinking. Mm-hmm. You know, because I know my grandson has some challenges. Okay. Memphis Merit Academy Charter School, which is in District 9, was the best educational option for him. He did pre-K in MSCS. Okay. It was not a fit for him. In pre-K, I found out it was not a fit for him. So when we're talking about students graduating this school district, 75 to 6% of them not reading on grade level post-graduation, that's a problem. So what we have to do is think of creative ways and partnerships, not your legacy partnerships that will involve people who don't have personal ties. We can't fall back into a pot of nepotism. That's not what's best for children. The district is becoming top heavy again. We're going backwards. And no offense to anybody, it needs to stop. And these are the things. This is what a young man told me, age 30, told me this past weekend that he wants to see from his board members, because he has 2 children that attend Memphis Shelby County schools.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are the conversations that I'm having in this community. These are the conversations that we're having. We can't blame everything on the parent. Does the parent have some responsibility? Yes, they do. But we can't blame everything on the parent.
But wouldn't you say, because I've been seeing this, I don't know what it is about this particular election. It seems that the veil is coming off of the eyes of the people. More people are watching and getting involved. I mean, more than before. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen so many people, even people, family members of mine that try to stay away from politics. I can see them, they become very interested and involved this time. When you say, so what do you hear when you're out on because you brought up Marie Fagans now, and that was like a national thing. It was a total embarrassment to me the way that was handled, because I have people from everywhere to come into my chat, and join my show just about every night when I come on. And they were even looking at how that was handled. And my heart, as a Memphian, I was totally embarrassed. My heart hurt. You fire a woman just in a meeting and act like she's not there, and then say, we're appointing another person in the same breath. You was there that night. Tell us about the energy of that and how you felt.
Actually, I was not there.
Okay.
Actually, I was at the city council doing what some of my colleagues are doing right now, fighting the police. That's what we were doing. That's where I was when that would happen. Let me take you back, Tamara. You're very familiar with the School Board 5 situation.
Yes.
Okay. So once that was all said and done, that whole thing was to stop the board from just appointing somebody. It didn't have anything to do with George Ray. We wanted a fair and equitable process. I attended one of those sessions, and it was one of the candidates, Cheryl Proctor from Portland. And I sat in on her interview. I only went to that one interview to make sure that the process was fair and equitable. I even spoke to the news about it, how I was proud of the board for them using the rubric and everything else that had come about. Okay. You had no fight with me from there. I didn't know Marie Fagans. Let me make that clear to everybody. Didn't know her. I didn't even sit in her interview. All I knew at the last minute, one former board member, Frank Johnson, he called me on the phone. He said, "Hey, I need you to come meet the new superintendent." See, this shows you, despite a narrative that you're hearing out in the street that I can't work with the board, I've worked with the board for almost 30 years.
And I went to elementary school with Frank. We were in the 4th and 5th grade together. Isn't that
Frank Johnson said, "I need you to come meet the superintendent." I didn't know this lady. Okay. I didn't know her So we went over at one of her cheer sessions, and I met her. Dr. Fagans walked in, and I want to get this story out because there's a lot that I have not been able to get out during this campaign, which shows you that I've been boots on the ground doing the work, Tamara.
You have.
Dr. Fagans walked in there, and I had my grandson with me. Everybody knows my grandson, the face of the third grade retention law. Walked in, and she walked past me, and she went and shook his hand. And you know what she said, which sold me on her? I don't care what anybody says personally about her, okay? What sold me on her, she shook my grandson's hand because he was involved in that School Board 5 debacle. And she shook his hand, and she said, I truly, she said, because my grandson was looking at me like, I don't know this lady. Who is this lady? And she said, you don't know me, but I know who you are. She said, and on behalf of me, she said, I want to apologize to you and your family for what you all just went through. And I didn't know that lady from Adam. And she turned around and she told me the same thing. She said, I know who you are. She said, and trust me, we're going to make this better for all children. And we took a picture, and Frank Johnson told me, he said, I need you to walk her through Hamilton High School. And I said, okay, this lady seems to be on the level, because I test everybody, Tara.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, she seems to be on the level to me. But I said, I'm gonna take her through the professor's test, okay? Met her in Hamilton High School, walked her through Hamilton High School. I had been fighting to get band instruments because I was a member of the band at Hamilton. We band nerds. All of us are in the band. My grandson right now, he's in the band. We've all been part of the band. My sons, they were in the band. Played snare drum and the cymbals. You know, I played the trumpet, bass drum. You know, my sister, Lord rest her soul, she played the clarinet. The only athlete we had in the family was my brother. So I said, you know what? I've been fighting for these band instruments for 10 years. I said, I'm gonna take a leap of faith. And I asked Dr. Fagans, I told her, I said, Dr. Fagans, I said, I've been fighting to get these children band instruments for 10 years. Do you know that those band instruments was at Hamilton High School that Monday?
Wow.
And not only did I get band instruments for Hamilton High School, I actually got band instruments for Central High School. See, I'm an all around, I'm gonna do what's best for children, Tamara. And the debacle with Dr. Fagans, I was there, I was getting calls from everybody that night. Damon, they finna get ready to fire this lady. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know. I was at the city council taking care of police business with Chief Davis. And I came down there, and the first thing I said, Tamara, people will see that's characteristic of Shelby County. People will put everything in a certain category, but it's very few people now that will tell the truth. Once that was all said and done, they bought the articles of termination and everything like that. I told every board member, I said, calm down. Let's sit down. Let's go to our individual corners. See, this is what you call leadership. Okay? I don't toot my own horn, but I got a friend down in Texas. She said, you better toot it while you're alive.
I'm telling you.
So I said, let's sit down. I talked to all of the board members. I even called my board member. She was really nasty to me on that phone.
And who is your board member?
George Doris Coleman. Really, I had to hang up that phone before I became true South Memphis Damon Morris. The way she was talking to me on that phone.
Is she running for re-election?
She is.
Oh wow.
I talked to the rest of the board members. I said, my idea was go into your individual districts, have a town hall. Let's have a calm down. See, I'm a diplomat first. I'm a trained diplomat. I studied at the U.S. Embassy. That's one of the certifications I got. I'm a certified diplomat. And I said, let's go to our individual corner. It was only 2 board members that took my advice, and that was Sable Ote and Tamarcus Porter. They had town halls to explain to their communities what was going on, what was happening, and why did they decide to do what they decided to do. I had to do the town hall meeting for District 9. I had Representative G.A. Hardaway, Bishop Charles Lampkin, and myself, and we facilitated that meeting over in Orange Mound, and we invited the whole community. That's how we got G.A. Hardaway to introduce the recall bill. Because that's what the community asked for. They wanted a chance to hold their board members accountable. We got a recall process with the city council. We got a recall process with the county commission. Why can't we have a recall process with the school board? For some reason, unbeknownst to me, and to end this conversation, Tamara, about Dr. Fagans, I had a meeting when I first declared my candidacy for a school board. I had a meeting with several well-known pastors in this community. It was a round table. They called me to the round table. A lot of them told me, you know, Damon, there are a lot of things that we don't like that you do, but you move things. And that's the heart of a true activist. You move things. Mm-hmm. And some of your methods we don't like. And see, this is what you call one of those heart to hearts. So they asked me about the current superintendent. And I told them, I said, this may be hard for everybody to believe. I don't know the man, never worked with him. I heard his name throughout my tenure in the district. I heard his name. Never once worked with him, never knew anything about him but his name. So the conclusion was these pastors told me, Damon, we're going to support you in your run for school board. However, when we're talking about Dr. Marie Fagans, they said it ain't what they did, it's how they did it. Mm-hmm. Because legally, I talked to another board member, Amber Hewitt Garcia. I talked to her. She was like, well, legally, we could have terminated her. I said, yes, with cause. You know, I said, but I was in a circumstance where I was trying to calm the community down. Okay. Had they went with board member Garcia's first plan, hey, let's wait till June. Let's give her a performance evaluation. And then if we feel the need that we need to terminate her, then let's do that. It was such a rush to get her out of there.
And why was that?
I really believe that it was because of what this audit has revealed.
Okay.
And that goes all the way back to board member Shalia Harris when she resigned from the board.
Absolutely, and she was trying to let it be known what was going on. She said she couldn't risk her freedom because it was some nefarious things going on even then.
And look, it's clear as glass, Tamara. The board violated the Sunshine Law. It's clear as glass to anybody that knows anything about any laws, policies, and procedures. Based on the preliminary evidence that came out in Dr. Fagans' trial, it's clear as glass that they broke the Sunshine Law. Now, what that equates to It could be a myriad of things. Because I tell people all the time, if you don't know how this stuff works, you need somebody experienced enough to know how this works. Because let me tell your listening audience that with this sunshine law violation, that can undo every decision that the board made up until this point of the judgment. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if they say that the sunshine law was violated, that carries criminal penalties. You know, that is cause for the governor to remove a school board member from their seat.
Wow.
So we have to understand what's in play here. Look, we here's the thing, and that's like I said, that was my last word on Dr. Fagans, because we have to understand that we have to really understand what is going on as far as what we need to do for our children here in Memphis and Shelby County. How we need to move forward, because just like you said, that was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. And we can't, I don't know how this district moves forward. I really don't. And safely say, running as a candidate, I can give you ideas, I can give you pitches, but one thing that I constantly tell everybody when they're asking me about my service to the school board, I said leadership needs to change.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
That's across the board. That's across the board.
Damon, they played so many games. I went and pulled a petition, and I just feel like that it was God's way of saying that it just was not time. I went and pulled a petition. I grew up in South Memphis. Okay, still got family in South Memphis, so I would have been District 1. Okay. And when I went into an area. Okay, got some people motivated. Around where my family lives in South Memphis, which was District 1. You know, you only need 25 signatures. We got almost 100 signatures. I was out there. I was talking to them. I took my camera out there. I gotten them motivated. 30 minutes before the cutoff, I got a call. You didn't qualify. I said, I didn't qualify. You don't have enough signatures. I'm like, we got like 90 something signatures. Oh, well, some of them, they weren't registered to vote, and the rest, they were registered, but they were registered in other areas. And so basically, you know, it's 30 minutes before the cutoff. I don't think that you would have the time to go and get. I said, well, how many qualified? About 7 or 8 out of 90. I said, okay.
Wow. I heard that there was a lot going on. You know, it was a lot going on even when I qualified, you know, because somebody manually moved my name out of the District 9 race and put it in another race. You know, I can't continuously, and you know, people may perceive this as negative, Tamara. I can't pull the wool over anybody's eyes about what actually is going on in this county. You know, because even my campaign manager, my campaign treasurer, they said, no, it's some funny business going on. Mm-hmm. About how can you was the first person to qualify in that race. How was your name manually moved from that race and put into another race?
Remember, Representin Rudd said that happened with a school board member this last election. If you remember what Rudd said, somehow a school board member that is on that's seated right now, they had her name on her ballot, and she was not even in her district somehow.
I mean, I heard a lot going on with that election last time. You know, and it was people telling me that they'll press somebody's button and another name will come up, and they constantly do it. Here's what I want to tell voters starting tomorrow. Any issue that you're having at any precinct, once you start going out to vote tomorrow, any issue that you have, please stop it and identify it right then and there. Please do that. Don't be afraid. It is your right. You have a right to vote. Please don't let that slide.
Damon, one thing that I can say, even with all of the foolery, and it's been a lot of, I have to call it like it is, and I'm being nice about it, that has been going on. And I feel like being born and raised in Memphis, I got it right. I can say that it's been a lot of shit going on, a lot of foolery. Okay. What it has done is it has opened the eyes of the people. I think that's the only good thing. And it takes strong people. And I want to say this to you, please. And I know that, I look at you and I like people that have a lot of strength, but I know when you have, because I'm one of those people too, I'm a quiet storm, but I know that it takes a lot of energy, especially when you're fighting for people. But please do not get weary, because I can see a change coming. I can see it even when you're in the fight, sometimes you can't see it, but you all have really pushed this movement. You all have pushed this movement, and you're pushing, I believe, the future of Memphis really in the direction that it should be going in. You really have.
And Tamara, to your point, let me say this. I really want to serve the children in this capacity. My credentials, they are what they are. I'm not a vain person. I'm not, I don't need attention. One of my opponents said that, oh, I need a camera. No, because I am total child-centered focused thinking. Okay. My nephew, which we affectionately call Nephew Prime, graduate 2013 graduate of Craigmont High School. Okay. I had him and my other nephew that attends Hamilton now cleaning out my garage. They saw pictures from my past, pictures of me with Missy Elliott, pictures of me with Lisa Ray, pictures of me, and they were actually looking at my legacy. And they was like, Unc, we didn't know you did all this stuff. So my nephew came up with an idea. He said, well, Uncle, I want to be a director. I want to be a entertainment. He said, and I want to use you to build my company. And I said, well, if that's what you want to do, I said, you go ahead and do it, because they saw the advocacy. They saw, what I was doing in the community. They saw me leading the rallies. They saw me, doing all of these things. And I had a voice. And that's how the Sunday afternoon sessions, the chair, got started. That was their project. Now my nephew is about to graduate next year, Mississippi Valley State College.
Wow.
And he already has offers from Hollywood by using his uncle based on what he saw. Those are the opportunities that I afforded children at Town University. They got a chance to they got a chance to dance in videos. Not the kind of dancing y'all think, but they got a chance to work. They got a chance to work with Hollywood directors, world famous choreographers, dancing videos for famous rappers, Bow Wow. They got to audition. They had those opportunities. And I think that if we can provide that for these children and take it back to the simple things, you shouldn't have to travel from Boxtown to Overton High School and try to catch a MATA bus at 4:30 in the morning just so you could take theater at Overton High School.
Absolutely not. Ooh,
that shouldn't happen. Okay? You shouldn't have to get on a bus in the morning because your mother can't afford transportation and go halfway across the county for programming. That shouldn't happen. These are the things that I'm passionate about as far as we're talking about what's best for children.
Tell us about I've heard you mention Teen Town University. Tell us about Teen Town University and who created it and what it was all about.
Teen Town University was created from the world famous Teen Town Singers, the WDIA. My uncle, James Crittenden, was the founder of Teen Town University. I was sent to Teen Town University with my ties with the Church of God in Christ once I graduated Lamont College. I met Mother Pauline C. Reed, Lord rest her soul, and she was hanging on to this organization by a string. They only had one child enrolled. I had just graduated, and I had just came out with a certification in nonprofit management, which was one of the first students to ever graduate Lamont College with that certification attached to my degree. Through a program called American Humanities, it's called the Nonprofit Leadership Alliance now. So I took it to the streets. I went up in the Belts Apartments. We were right 1925 South 3rd Street. I wrote a grant proposal. I burnt midnight oil. I said, well, let's bring this organization out of the trenches. And in 1 year, one calendar year, 365 days, I took that organization with one child enrolled to 925 kids in a year.
Wow.
We provided everything. Teen Town was your one-stop shop: mental health resources, AIDS resources, childhood obesity. We had a community choir. We had industrial kitchen. That's how we had 2 Michelin star chefs come out of Teen Town University. It was your one-stop shop. We had the athletics. We had the cheerleading, the dance, the majorettes, all of that stuff. Everything you can name. Nothing you could come in Teen Town University and ask that you wanted to do as a child that we did not provide for you. From the church house to the schoolhouse. And we had partnerships with every school that those children attended. We had private schools, children that came to Teen Town University. We had charter school children that came to Teen Town University. We had Legacy Memphis Shelby County school students that come to Teen Town University. And every one of them that you will bother to talk to, they'll tell you was some of the best times of their life. So I have the formula, as I said before. I have the formula, Tamara. Mm-hmm. So it just goes back to the old school way of approach. Early literacy. I had an award-winning after school program that I was a teacher. I would leave Sheffield High School. I would go to Teen Town University. I bought Teen Town University inside of Sheffield High School. So when we want to talk about partnerships and what I've done in this community and what I've done in this district, no other candidate, including the incumbent, can stand on my record.
Absolutely. Let me ask you something. You hear a lot of people in the community speaking about now they feel that board members may have, how can I put it? Because I don't want to be accusatory. The budget. Mm-hmm. There are some that's on the board now, they may have ran because everybody is after that big budget and ways to try to get their hands on the money as it relates to the school board. What do you say about that?
There's a lot of money in education. Now, mm-hmm. is the classroom seeing that? No. But across the board, there are a lot of people, and I'm gonna be fair about it, that are making a lot of money off of education. Okay, because I tell everybody when they ask me about the school district, I say every school district, everything is tied to $1. So what I say to that is, these people that are actually trying to use this school board as a stepping stone to the next political career, you're doing the children a disservice. you're doing them a disservice. What board member or anybody that's running for board actually wants to get in there and actually get their hands dirty? You know, actually want to stand up and say, hey, this student, Mr. Dillon, that's calling from out here, junior over here at Overton High School, actually calling and saying, hey, I don't have what I need to complete my courses. What are we doing? What are we doing? I asked him to call his board member first before he called me. And he said he didn't get any traction. And his board member is George Doris Coleman. And he didn't get any traction. So that's when I step in. I said, well, let me try to call the board member. Even something that happened to my grandson. Yeah, I know y'all very familiar, and I can't talk too much about it with this order of protection by a board member on me. Okay. Do you know that during this process for this year that's been going on, because the judge just scolded my attorney and Robert Spence about how long this has been going on? My grandson lost a $25,000 scholarship because of that.
What?
And a lot of people don't know that. And let me make this clear, Tamara. This is not a revenge tour. My candidacy for school board is not about getting revenge. It's not about what's going on as far as them dragging me out of the school board. I want to come up there and I want to agitate the school board. No, I want to do what's best for children.
Absolutely. Can you speak to us about, you hear them talk about grants. Can you speak to us about how that works as it relates to the school board, and why you hear people complaining about that as it relates to the African American community?
The grant process, of course, has been compromised. You saw that coming in the audit. Absolutely. When we talk, I try not to talk too much about contracts because that's a trigger. So what I'm saying is to you and to give you a short answer to that, Tamara, because I know we've been on here a long time and I got somewhere else to be. To give you the short answer to that, Tamara, you know, we got to streamline all processes of the district. I think the superintendent is trying to do that, but a lot of people in the community are telling me it's a little bit too little too late. So I'm gonna ride. I'm gonna have you take a ride with me for a minute. Okay. And
because we enjoying this conversation.
Because I have to go pick up my grandbaby, but anyway, you can ride with me.
Okay.
But anyway, what I'm saying is, and I know I'm walking in darkness, you all. So let me make sure that we understand, Tamara. Because they, you know, with this grandson of mine, I got an adjustment that I got to make to schedules and, you know, TCAP and everything going on.
Hey,
but
Damon, Tierney says she knows you.
Tierney
Allen. Yeah,
she probably does. I tell everybody, if you're looking for me, just ask for the professor. So, they'll tell you where to find me. So, you know, Tamara, what we're trying to get straightened out is these processes need to be streamlined and they need to be transparent. I just told one of my biggest advocates that transparency in Shelby County seems to be non-existent. So that's what we're talking about here. And with these contracts and with these grants, we got to have partnerships. We can't no longer allow our friends to be we can no longer allow our friends to be the ones that get these contracts. We actually have to seek out people that are actually doing the work. Know what kind of grants to get. Know what kind of grants that we need as far as children are concerned. So we have to understand that when we're doing these sort of things in that order, we have to understand that also. Now I'm gonna be talking to y'all through this call.
I think it is transferring over to his car.
Hey, somebody has to stand up and say, hey, enough is enough. It's time for us to get some change in these things, in these processes. These processes have to change. These processes have to be streamlined. We can no longer continue to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. That's y'all. I'm sorry. I got to go get my grandson, but I want to get on here and I got music playing and everything tied to my phone. Can you still hear me, Tamara?
I can hear you now.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, everything. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So yeah, we need to streamline these processes. And we can't keep on doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's basically what it is.
Damon, my audience wanted, because we talk about this all the time. Why was cursive writing taken out of the schools, and what can be done to get it back in there? Because when you talk about taking cursive writing out, you're taking our children back all the way back to slavery days when they couldn't sign their names.
That was, Tamara, and I got to put on my Democratic hat. That was a Republican thing because they felt that we didn't need it. Just like a bill that they just passed talking about the foreign languages. So talking about the foreign language that we didn't need, we don't need those anymore. But I think that's far away from the truth as possible, because we do need cursive writing. And a good tidbit to tell you about, we did. My grandson taught himself how to write in cursive, because I'm gonna tell you how it came about. He saw me sign my signature, and my signature is a very unmistakable signature. And he said, "Granddad, I want to write like that." And he went and he taught himself how to write in cursive. So I think it goes back to children not being able to but now we're in a digital age. I think that's very dangerous when it comes to us talking about doing a digital signature, because with our digital that stuff, when I was in Business Professionals of America, back in high school, back in Hamilton, we were taking a check writing class, and my instructors was like, "Look, y'all need to get a signature that is unrecognizable, can't be copied, because think about these children registering to vote, and how much, and what you just said, Tamara, about some things were off when you filed your petition to run for school board. These children actually have to sign their name, not write their names. And when we were going in high schools registering kids to vote, they were just manually writing their names.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you can have your identity. As a person who's been a victim of identity theft, that's dangerous.
Yes, it is.
That's dangerous. That's why I say no. If you see, I just went through a situation where they changed some of my medical information. And I asked the lady, we got to go to court about this. I asked the lady, well, what did I sign? Well, no, it was electronic. I said, ma'am, I will never in my whole life give you authorization. I said, if my signature ain't on a piece of paper, I didn't do it. Because that's the first thing I'm going to ask for. I don't do business like that.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. In fraud and documents, I've worked for the police departments just about my whole career. In fraud and documents, this is how they were able to either when people would come through there and they had their identities and stuff had been stolen. This is how they was either able to eliminate people, or they was able to arrest people based on their signatures. They look at the handwriting and, sir, this matches with your handwriting, because no two handwritings are identical. Signatures, rather.
And my brother, prime example, he was brought up on some charges, and you know what cleared him for those charges was his signature.
Wow.
And to your point, that happened to my brother.
And so that's why I think, like I said, the only thing I could think about, because I love studying about our history. I'm one of those fanatics. You talk about Harriet Tubman, all of them. Like, I could sit and look at those types of movies. Like, I find like documentaries on YouTube where they when they started doing videos and they were able to identify people that had been slaves, like back right before they died, like back in the 60s or 50s or whatever, they had gotten old. I love finding those videos and just listening to their experiences, because when you know where you come from, what you don't want to go back to, right? And so they had a lot of our history, but you think about the slaves, they weren't able to read or write or sign their names or anything like this. That's why I say that's something that we gotta have. That's something that I really think that our children need back. And what I had to do was I ended up going on Amazon and buying my children, when they were in school, a book that whereas they could trace their name. I taught them how to do cursive writing. I had to teach them, but I definitely think that's one of the things that we definitely need back in our schools.
And like I said, I'm really, 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 you know, it's a lot of strength. I they was like, and I really hate being the chairman of District 10, EC committee for Liberty County Democratic Party. I really dislike the fact, and I fought against it. It was a friendly little spat between me and the chair about them politicizing the school board seats. And I really wasn't in favor of it, but now it is what it is, because I don't believe in politicizing education. I've never been a proponent of that, because we need more parents, less politics. Board. No, and this process, if it's a shared county, it's not going to be as far as the school is concerned. Even though I'm on the Democratic Party, I can promise this to be that's you all. What I can guarantee. As far as
I think his phone, your phone is breaking up a lot. Yeah, I think that his his phone started and it totally just cut off. And I think what was happening was he was getting he's back on. Okay, he's back on now.
Yeah, we're going through a dead zone up here by where they practice football at. Up here
Okay.
about Willow Oaks Elementary School. So we coming to a dead zone. It always is up here by the field. So I say I'm gonna take a brief pause, y'all, just a minute, because I got to be very apologetic to these coaches. But we were having just because a lot of this stuff I haven't been able to get out. So I really thank you for affording me this opportunity, Tamara.
Oh, absolutely.
To do that.
And even still, I feel like we have, because I've been paying close attention, and we ain't even got half of the stuff out as it relates to this. But one thing that
y'all got to forgive me, man. Early voting start tomorrow. Y'all got to forgive me. Quitty, y'all forgive me. I'm on the interview.
As soon as they called my mama, you showed up, and my mama said she was on the way, and she was 10 minutes away. I was
okay.
Like, she tell my mama.
Thank y'all. I'm so sorry. You do? Who said that?
Coach DJ.
Hey, see me Friday. Y'all know I'm gonna take care of y'all.
Hey, look, I had found his mama on Facebook, so call her and tell her yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And mama said she was 10 minutes away from her. That's crazy. Well, I wonder where she is. I thought she was over there with Miss Kim or something.
Probably so. Okay, let me. We gonna go home. You got to be quiet because you got to go home and finish. I got to finish this interview that I'm on.
Let me ask you something, Damon. Do you think that teachers are making what they should be making?
No. And traditionally they have not. But now I can put that on your president of the United States. Okay, because now he's moved the professional designation off of those degrees. Y'all, that right there, teachers used to be highly when my grandmother and them were teaching during the 80s and the 90s. I don't know what was going on during the 70s because I was a baby. But when they were teaching during the 80s and the 90s, you know, it was the teachers were held in high regards. Mm-hmm. It seems like now, I think with the plan that the president has done and with those things at the Department of Education and everything of nature, I think what has happened now is because teachers are an hourly job at McDonald's, you know, and ain't nothing wrong with working at McDonald's. Let's make that clear. But I think because they can't make the money like they used to make.
How would you rate the superintendent that they have now, and would you be willing to work with them?
I rate the superintendent now at a 3. I did that on another interview, and another reporter asked me that. Why did you rate him a 3? I said I rate him a 3 because there's still stuff left to be desired. Mm-hmm. I said, and I've never worked with him before. Now, the meeting that I had with the current superintendent was a very pleasant meeting. It was him, Tito Langston, and the general counsel. You know, he was very apologetic about what my children had to go through in that district. You know, whether it was genuine or not, we're not going to have that discussion. But I was proud of him, and it was upstanding. He and I've had several conversations, even with the closing of Chickasaw. Me and him had a conversation about that. So with this narrative, Tamara, that I can't work with anybody, that's far from the truth. It's just people playing politics out here in Shelby County that don't want me to obtain the school board seat.
Why do you think they don't want to? Because I've heard you say that well, just about every time you come on your Facebook channel. What has been the kickback out there, and why do you think? Because you seem, I mean, the only thing I can see is you're a fighter. Okay, you are a fighter.
I'm gonna expose what's really going on, and I'm gonna tell it. That's the short answer. I'm gonna tell it. Because I'm gonna tell you, my grandmother had a saying. I ain't finna let nobody send me to hell.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to, I don't need nobody's help going to hell. If I'm gonna go to hell, I'm gonna send myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing something wrong, I'm gonna call it out.
And let me just say this, because I've seen how people have tried to demonize you, and what I can't understand is because we all do a little cussing, even the people that try to demonize you. But I think that when people get to doing this and they go, well, a person shouldn't be elected for this, and that, and I've been on this here internet for a long time, and I've seen things that I know I should not have seen. And you got people that's sitting up on the school board or that's elected in certain positions, So I don't necessarily think that's fair when the people that are saying it, because I have not seen or heard about a bad history as it relates to you, but definitely I don't think it's fair when people do stuff like that.
You're not going to find it. I'm upstanding, and let me show you, and show your listening audience. This young man sitting beside me. This is why I get up in the morning. This is what I do. This is one of the most famous students in the state of Tennessee. You all, okay? He put up a fight against that third grade retention law for 18,000 third graders here in Memphis and Shelby County. And he put up a fight. And guess what? When he got home, the school board wouldn't even honor him for that fight.
Wow.
Put up a fight. And guess what? We moved that legislation. We got exemptions. We got tutoring put in that third grade retention law, because a lot of people don't understand about the third grade retention law. Here's what they don't understand about it. And somebody has said to me, one of the candidates is trying to take credit for my work with the third grade retention law. And it wasn't just me. I give people in Michael, Stand for Children, Memphis for All, Tennessee for All of those organizations who fought that third grade retention law. It wasn't a fight. Because here's what people don't understand about this super majority. I'm going to keep on bringing that up, Tamara. When they have their mindset on doing something, they're going to do it. When the original bill was getting ready to be passed, of the third grade retention law, it was a flat fail. It wasn't no fail-safes nowhere in that bill. So that means that you either passed the 10 ready or you failed the 10 ready. And if you did that, then you will honestly, we had over 4,000 third graders that was potentially going to be held back. That means classrooms are going to be overcrowded, things like that. So we had to go up there and negotiate with the Republicans. Hey, don't do this to Shelby County. Don't do this. And see, I'm the only candidate in District 9 that has that experience and have moved legislation across this county as far as things that were being done up in Nashville. I'm the only one. Even with this intervention bill, I was handpicked to go up there with the Republicans and try to see if we can hammer this thing out to where anybody, and let me give you an interesting statistic. Now, we can say whatever we want to about polls. When this intervention bill was first discussed, it was kind of half and half. Like 55% of Shelby County wanted the intervention, 55% didn't. Okay, well, the other percentage didn't. I'm doing my math wrong, but anyway, the other percentage didn't. Now, after Brent Taylor made that phone call to Mark White, which I've had meetings with both of them up in Nashville. When Brent Taylor made that phone call to Mark White over the weekend about this conference committee, and they was going to reconvene the conference committee. Channel 3 did a poll. Do you know that number jumped from 55% to 85%?
Wow.
Wants the intervention now. And I think, and I got to give credit to board member Tamarcus Porter, because he was trying to fight back for them appointing the current superintendent, and I think that had a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had to give him his props. You know, there's a lot of people saying a lot of things about a lot of those school board members, but I'm going to tell you this, Tamara, and I want everybody that's going out to vote tomorrow, hear me clearly. Hear me clearly. You have to understand who's pulling the strings in the background, and that's what the people are not being told. I have a couple of suspicions, but in that order, what we need to understand is that those people need to be called out. We cannot continue politics as usual here in Memphis and Shelby County, starting with this election, with early voting starting tomorrow. You got to make a change.
Is it Republicans you think that's pulling the strings in the background? Because there's definitely some people in the background. I just don't know who it is.
One of the selling points when me and people like Marcus Randolph went up to last year, one of the selling points is that a lot of this stuff we're doing to each other. And Justin Pearson said it when he went to the school board. He said, y'all stop this. Stop this, because Nashville is going to say that we can't govern ourselves. You know, that's exactly what Representative Pearson said. We can't govern ourselves down here. You got school board members that cussing, all of this other stuff, Tamara, everything that you that leads your heart to desire, okay, about Damon Curry Morris. But the thing that you won't say, and just like you've been saying all through this broadcast, is I'm a fighter. I'm going to, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what's best for children. At the end of the day, we got to do what's best for all of us. And one thing about it is the people matter. I think during that whole process, what got lost is that the people didn't matter. And that's what goes to my slogan, this one is for the people. You know, that the people have to matter. The students have to matter in this, in this. I mean, and people were saying that I was real aggressive and everything else when it came to that candidate forum that we had at First Congo. But I told the truth. How could you, as a sitting board member and a seasoned board member, and I was talking to both of the incumbents, sit here and talk about transparency 8 to 10 years down the road? And you're going on a platform, give us a chance. Give us a chance to correct this. You had a chance to correct it. You had a chance. The people are tired now. They're tired.
Yes, they are.
They had a chance, and it's no knock against them. You just didn't show enough integrity to the people during that process to say, hey, y'all, we're listening. We're gonna figure this out. Then you come up with this advisory board that you were going to put in place, which will be the same status quo. We don't need that.
Absolutely. Tell us what you plan to do, Damon, once you're on the board. What are your plans?
The first, when I get on the board, is I'm going to take the ethics out of the board's hands. I'm going to put forth a resolution, because here's the thing. We got to start building trust. Okay. I know education is important and we have to educate our children, but with what has happened, this board is going to have to be rebuilt. And what's going to start this is we're going to have to rebuild it, and we're going to have to put some sort of trust in the community. I'm going to bring forth a resolution that we form a real committee of teachers, stakeholders, leaders in this community, and we form an ethics committee. Parents, I want parents on that committee, and then the board, we need to vote as a collaborative to take our ethics out of our own hands. Since we are light years away from getting a recall of any type, what we need to do is that we need to take the ethics out of and show the community that, hey, we're trying to put y'all trust in our hand, and this ethics committee will do that. And it will say, we can't govern ourselves. We need some oversight. Okay. Had they done that when I asked them to do it in the first place? Do you know where they got that plan, Tamara, for that oversight committee?
Where?
They got that from me.
Wow.
I don't care about them using my ideas, because that's what it's for. That's how you work with your board members as a parent, as a stakeholder. Think about it. Who was originally the two names that sponsored that resolution for that 19-member advisory committee? It was Sable Ote and Tamarcus Porter. Those were the two board members that I'm closest to.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what Sable Ote said when she was on the news. We've been planning this a year ago. Think about the only two board members that held town halls in their districts: Sable Ote and Tamarcus Porter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the kind of person who says, hey, you stole my idea, you need to give me credit. No, let's work together. Now, what I do not want to see, if that resolution comes to fruition, what I do not want to see is all of those people that y'all saw standing on that stage, grandstanding, that y'all put into those advisory roles. I do not want to see that. I do not want to see. I'm finna call names. I do not want to see a Cardell Orn. I do not want to see my councilwoman Janice Wedge Washington, because she was up on that stage. I don't want to see those people. The community don't want to see those people.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see everyday average Joe Blows, like my next door neighbor, who's been doing pre-K all her whole career, Miss Ruby Jean Harris. I want to see people like that. I want to see people like one of my team moms who are on the East Memphis Vikings. Those people are intelligent. They're intelligent enough to know what's going on. I want to see, and also another concept I'm going to bring to the school board. The school board needs a youth council. Every board member needs a youth up under them in their district. Every last one of them, like the Shelby County Commission has a youth council, like the city council has a youth council. They need to understudy with these board members so once these board members, and I do agree with term limits, once these board members step out of their roles, they already have some people to come back around them to behind them and run for these positions.
Absolutely.
But that's what that in all these endorsement interviews that I'm going through, that's what I'm telling them. The two main things, this will build trust with the students. We need to find a way to build trust with the teachers. Find creative ways. There might have to be some grants involved about their salaries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, teachers are telling me behavior is an issue. I told the teachers union, I told them when they got rid of the Center for Safe and Drug-Free Schools, that was the worst thing they could have ever done, because now all of the responsibility is on the principals. The Center for Safe and Drug-Free Schools did truancy, they did data collection, adolescent parenting, all of those wraparound services were done in the Center for Safe and Drug-Free Schools. And once they cut that program from Memphis Shelby County Schools, that's when you saw an uptick in behavior. That's when you saw an uptick in all of those things were managed. So the teachers are pulling their hair out now because they got to manage discipline. They got to manage, they got rid of the ISS program. It's a shell of what it used to be. Where we actually did King and nonviolence training. People don't even know that. PBIS, positive behavior intervention and support.
Why do they get rid of all of these programs? Because when you hear people, I've heard, that the budget is upward of hundreds of millions. It would seem to me that they would have enough money not to get rid of any of these programs, especially if it's going to help our students. When we're talking about VOTEC, when we're talking about programs like mental illness is at an all-time high. When we talk about stuff like that, we actually have the money. But I'm gonna tell you something that all of us have been complaining about. When we turn on the TV, and I believe that when you start seeing these celebrities come in and they're standing next to these school board members and they're talking about some type of campaign, they're paying these celebrities to come in. You have to pay them some type of appearance fee to come in. All of this money that they're paying out for these celebrities to stand next to them, this could be going into our school system.
That's one reason why I had a problem with them downplaying the forensic audit. Okay, yeah, it was a minuscule amount of money to $1 billion budget. I will admit that. But when you got a student over here calling me from Overton High School who doesn't have working stoves in his CCTE program so he can get the kind of stuff that he needs, that's a problem for me. I don't care if it was $1.70. Because $1.7 million, you can go buy you two $5,000 Viking stoves or top of the line Viking stoves and put them in the Sheffield Career and Technology Center. And then those children will have what they need. Once my nephew recovers, I've been on Hamilton High School like white on rice because I'm an alumnus.
Mm-hmm.
And my alumni has been on my tail, Tamara, about this school. They said, man, you running for school board and everything like that. What about your alma mater? They hyped up that community room over there. Go look at it now.
Now, whose district is Hamilton High School?
I can't speak that board member's name, but it's the one in District 7.
Oh, Lord.
So,
okay.
I say things like that, Tamara, and everybody run with it. Oh, he negative. He not gonna be able to work with her. He gonna be up there cussing her out on the board. I say that to this. I say this to that. Choose a meeting, because all the meetings are recorded, that I've ever cussed a board member out. I've ever disrespected a board member, county commissioner. I speak down there all the time. Now, do I get loud? Yeah. Do I tell the truth? Yeah. I admit that. But I said, pull up. Do you know the reason why the district lost the School Board 5 case was all because of me. The only evidence that they had when I went into that courtroom, and I tell everybody all the time, read the court transcripts. The only evidence they had is that I quoted Malcolm X and I didn't cite my quote. And Chief Jackson, who's working back in that district, cost the district $2 million. Let's keep that in mind. $2 million in legal fees. Okay. She went back in the back room. Yeah, so because some of the board members told me, went back in the back room and made them say, hey, he threatened y'all, didn't it? He did. This came out in court, Tamara. This ain't nothing I'm sitting up here telling everybody that was with that case didn't know.
Wow.
Hey, he threatened y'all, didn't it? He threatened y'all. So my lawyer,
she coerced them.
She coerced them to say that I did something because I was not there when the act happened. The East Memphis Vikings team moms and coaches had to be deposed for them because everybody had to account for my whereabouts when they dropped the noisemakers in the board. So to loop me with the rest, and let me tell you something, some fine women, some very strong women, Tequila Rucker, Rachel Spriggs, Amber Sherman, and LJ Abraham, some very strong women. Okay.
I had a conversation with Rachel. She definitely is a strong woman. Absolutely.
So that look, I said, okay, y'all gonna loop me with them. I'm gonna stand with them. It was a ploy to get me, away from that school board because I was causing too much noise. I didn't cite my quote. My lawyer put up in the courtroom the clip where I said, if you don't give us what we want, we have no choice but to take it. Now, what I should have said was just like Malcolm X said, if you don't give us what we want, we're going to take it. So she said that they proceeded, the board chair at the time said that was a threat. Chief Jackson coerced her into saying that was a threat. So with her being the board chair and having all the power, that's how I got into the School Board 5, but it ended up backfiring on them. It was a very expensive lesson that the district had to learn. I spoke at the school board meeting. It wasn't even a heated speaking sort of deal. And I went back over to the football field where y'all just saw me come from. So everybody so you caused my family all this trauma since one of the incumbent board members are talking about trauma. You caused my family all of this trauma because I had to take all of my kids out of Memphis Shelby County schools.
Wow.
And I told Rod Richmond to his face, for you to hire that woman back into that district was a slap in the face to my entire family.
It was a slap in the face to some of the officers that are there that was definitely qualified for that position and applied for that position.
And he put an interim tag on it. See, we got to stop playing in these people's face. We got to stop playing in the people's face. That's one reason for my candidacy too. Because like my mom just told me, Tamara, this weekend. She said, baby, I really didn't want you to run again. My uncle, who's a politico, he didn't want me to run again. And my mom's told me this. She said, I've been watching everything that's been going on since you announced your candidacy again. She said, I don't understand why these people are so afraid of you. What are they afraid of? She said, it's not like the last 2 times you ran. They are really afraid. I said, Mom, they're afraid of the truth.
That's exactly what it is. They're afraid of the truth. And
I said, they're afraid of the truth. And if you want truth, and you want what's best for children, you're going to vote Damon Curry Morris onto that school board.
A young lady in the chat says he is not lying. This is Mika Damon.
Right. Right. They are afraid. My mom said that to me, and I'm gonna tell you how prolific my mother is. This is my earth mother, it's not my birth mother. I call her my mother because she's been through me with a very trying time in my life when I was on dialysis. Patricia Morris, and I remember when the George Ray situation was going on, and I'll be honest, George Ray has done a lot. Now I actually got to work with that superintendent. George Ray has done a lot for my family. I mean, a whole lot. And I remember, and him and my mom had a good relationship. And I remember when all of this stuff broke out, about his infidelity and all this other stuff was going on. I remember what my mom was doing. She was in the kitchen sweeping the floor, and she had fixed me a big old plate of food. And I was sitting at the table eating, and we were watching the news. It came across the news, Memphis Shelby County schools are doing, considering, terminating the contract of Dr. George Ray, all that, and blah, blah, blah. And my mom stopped in the middle of that floor with that broom. I never will forget it. I said this at the board meeting. She stopped in the middle of the floor. She said, "You know what, baby?" She said, "This is a distraction." She said, "What this district don't need right now is another distraction." And I took that to the board. I said, I was having dinner at my mom's house, and she was sweeping the floor. And she just said that this is a distraction. I have no good. Let me tell you something about Dr. George Ray. One of the best educators you're going to find. Definitely. Without a doubt. His records, see, I speak to people's records. See, a lot of these candidates in this school board race for District 9, I can't account for their record. Y'all vet them before y'all hit them polls tomorrow, because you got some trickery going on with all these ballots flying around. All these endorsements flying around is people that want to keep Shelby County the way that it is. But we have proven, ladies and gentlemen, as we speak tonight, that it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It has not worked. It will not work. If you want something different, you're going to do something differently. Yes, my methods are very, very unscrupulous. However, they are effective.
People are just flat out lying and misleading people. I've been seeing ballots with people standing next to Obama, people standing next to, they've been flat out misleading with a lot of these ballots.
That's Memphis. I had a real good friend of mine, and me and him kind of had a spat today. I know you. You slept on my couch when you were working with another candidate. I know how you move. I said, I'm not trying to get into a battle of talking about another candidate. I've never done that. Go look at my other races. I've never done that. And it's some truth that my mother spoke up. They are very afraid of you being on that school board. And I think that's what's going to push people to vote for me. Because they need that voice on that school board.
And they see that you are totally against the foolery that has been going on. Like I said, I've been totally embarrassed, but I love Memphis, and I love the people in Memphis. I tell people on my shows all the time, listen, I may get mad and I may talk a little crazy sometimes, but I love my city. I love the people in my city. But I think for a long time, we have definitely been on autopilot, because there have been some people that was elected that never should have been on, even if it was a dog catcher's board. They never should have been on that board, or council or anything. But I think what has happened is people are removing the veil. It took this to wake the people up, and now more people are involved. I have no doubt that you will be elected. I know you will, and I have a
I
really
just
good
don't want you to
feeling about
I don't want you to jinx me. I don't want you to jinx me. I mean, I've had several people tell me that today. You know, I said the people just gonna show, and even the teachers that can't stand for me, Tamara.
Mm-hmm.
Even the teachers that can't stand for me because they fear retaliation, which the district will retaliate on you. Because everybody that when they found out I was running, I mean teachers and everybody else, oh, we finna get behind. I said, y'all stand down. I said they will retaliate on y'all.
Chocolate says, I'm gonna vote for you just by listening to you tonight. All right. And that's it. Now tell them, because we know you're Orange Mound bound, but let them know what areas can vote for you.
Well, since District 9 was first constructed, they just did a redistricting in the District 9 about a couple of years ago. So District 9 encompasses 35 schools, which includes charters and legacy Memphis Shelby County schools. The main high schools in District 9, Overton, Ridgeway, Melrose, and Sheffield. They just added Sheffield to the district, and once Sheffield was part of District 7. That's when Mr. Clay Bibb, because Mr. Clay Bibb was over District 7, and me and her had a very, very well working relationship because of Hamilton. You know, I'm always going to be for my alma mater. Just like the incoming board member, these are some of the chatter that some of the constituents are talking about. Oh, she's just worried about Melrose. There have been schools that I've walked in District 9, Willow Oaks being one of them, that I walked in and they said that she hasn't been in that school since her tenure there. You know, and let me tell you something about District 9 and its demographics. District 9 is a melting pot, MSCS District 9. You have the predominantly Black district, which is Orange Mound, and Cherokee, Sherwood Forest, over there. Then when you cross Getwell, heavily Hispanic in the middle. And a lot of these candidates have forgotten about that. I am very, very, very well liked in the Hispanic community. Very well liked. I can talk to my leader, colors fellow, Arturo, Hermano. Me and him were very close when we was going through Leaders of Color, one of my cohorts. Jose Salazar. Oh man, me and him have been in some fights, you know, across this city. You know, we have to be inclusive of all people. And then once you get to the very far east, predominantly white. Predominantly white, and a lot of them are white Republicans too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, headed into that Ridgeway loop. Now, it used to encompass schools like Bell Forest, a large chunk of Hickory Hill. It's a very little piece of Hickory Hill now. 38118. Very little piece. But those children matter too. You know, Wooddale, which is the charter, ran under Green Dot. You know, I've been part of this district professionally, and let's not forget about the almighty famous Fox Meadows. Fox Meadows! I love Fox Meadows. When I first ran for District 9 back in 2013, when I ran for District 9, Fox Meadows was where my campaign headquarters was. Fox Meadows, all of these, you know, Orange Mound, all of these things that have come to fruition. You know, this is not a candidacy built on personal issues. I want to make, and there's some people out there trying to run that narrative when it comes to me. oh, he's mad because this, that, and the other. I said, I wish Tamara tonight I could talk to you about what I can tell you this about that order of protection that everybody keeps on asking me about and their board member. I think I said it at the beginning of the show. It was a plot to keep me from running for school board. They do not want me on that board. You got Mika in your comments, Marcus Randolph, Notoria Carpenter, all of them would tell you. It was Chief Jackson that walked into that school board. And I could talk about the criminal part. So let me back up. Chief Jackson, the night I got arrested at the board, Chief Jackson was the one who walked in there, got that board member out, and made her file a police report for them to have me arrested.
Wow.
They were trying to put a felony on me so I can't run for school board.
Wow.
So when I got down to lock up and intake, it took Justin Pearson, Tammy Sawyer, George Dempsey Summers, Sarah Carpenter, Notoria Carpenter, a couple of high-ranking officials in the government's cabinet, Democrat and Republican, for Governor Lee to get me out of jail on a low-level misdemeanor.
Wow. Oh,
which I was supposed to be. When I tell the story, Tamara, you better be ready. You might want to have me back on your show.
I do.
Were you privy to that conversation I had with John Best over at 88.5?
No.
John Best said so many things in that thing that could help Dr. Fagans with her case till it was pitiful. I didn't even come there for that. But I went into that brown envelope that I have, the same thing as Edmund Ford's binder, and I showed John Best all of the evidence. Do you know, I can say this too, do you know that with all of that has happened over this past year, this is now under the investigation of the TBI. For official misconduct, the board member herself being brought up on charges of official oppression by using her elected position to oppress a citizen.
Wow.
So while people like that board member down in District 7 is talking about what I did and what I said, those clips that she's putting up, I can say this because I talked to my attorneys about it. That clip that she's putting up, they can charge her with interfering in a federal investigation.
Wow.
Because those clips that she has are not on my Facebook. So she has to get them screen recorded from somebody. They were sealed. So you don't have to be a genius to figure out how she got them.
Wow.
So I'm just sitting, that's why I haven't said anything about it. I'm just sitting back and I'm gonna let my lawyers do it work. Like one of my critics says, see, I'm honest with what everybody said. Well, you sue happy. It's a lot of things that I could have sued the school board for after the school board fired. I haven't filed one more lawsuit against the school board because I saw what that is doing to the bottom line. This district is about to be cash poor. And that's not what's best for children.
I will say this. I look at some things and you can tell when there is a machine behind certain people. But what I don't understand is I don't understand why people don't know when they are being used. I know just as well when a group of people have gotten behind somebody and they go, well, we'll put him or her out to do it because they look crazy. They kind of hide behind that, keep their hands clean, and they'll put somebody out there that they think is already mentally unstable.
And I can't speak to that, but I did say that. And one of the board members that will, I believe is kind of mentally unstable. People ask me behind the scenes, what is wrong? And I said, it's undiagnosed mental health illness. I have a mental health expert that's a young man, very Marlon Qualls, young man. He endorsed me for this race. He's been trying to get his foot in the door for certain things that have been going on, here in Memphis and Shelby County. Marlon has done that, and he see the trickery, he see the foolery. I had him as one of my guests, at the prayer breakfast for Shelby County Democratic Party. He was there saying, man, there's so much stuff going on around in this room. I said, you see, even him as young as he is in his late 20s can see. He's filtering out people. Mental health is a very big subject. And let me bring you back to that, Tamara. Do you remember when Dr. George Ray was supposed to open up those, he gave 145 or I think it was 175 some odd $1,000 to open up 4 mental health clinics here in the district?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to that money? What them clinics at?
We don't have those clinics.
What happened to it? See, one thing that people in Shelby County suffer from is revisionist history. They block things out. One of the board members said that when they fired Dr. Fagans. Oh, they'll forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
See, we got to stop playing. The playtime is over. It's time to get in there and do this work for the children. Absolutely. It's time to get in there and do this work for the teachers. I had a teacher, very good friend of mine. Me and her worked at another company together a long time ago. She called me crying on the phone. She said, I can't teach. I got 15 minutes to do this. If I go over that time, I'm in trouble. I got 20 minutes to do this. If I go over the time, I'm in trouble. These children can't learn. I mean, she was crying. She said, I'm about to go back down to DeSoto County where I came from.
Wow.
I said, there are teachers out here who want to pour into these children. Just like Jordan Coleman, Youth Minds United. She told me about a class that she's bussed over because they don't have it at Westwood. That she goes over and takes it at my alma mater, Hamilton High School. Y'all, these are real-time stories that I can share with y'all. Forget about what you saw, and I'm not gonna say forget about it because they did that girl wrong too. Artasia over at Sheffield High School in that situation. These are real stories that are coming out of these schools from these students. Just like when I went down to the Board of Education. See, this is my definition of transparency. I'm gonna slap you in the face with it. Not literally, but figuratively. Like when the principal out there at South Wayne High School, the children was complaining about him. One of them finally got him on tape, cussing the children out over the intercom.
Wow.
And they sent me the video. And I went down to the board and played it. Have you heard from him since I bust him out? No, that's not no rah-rah session. When we won the lawsuit with the School Board 5, I said that to the camera. This ain't no rah-rah session. I made a promise to this community, and I promise you, elected or not, you all, I'm going to keep that promise to y'all. I'm going to stamp out this corruption in this county. One way or another. And I said that in that press. Excuse me. I said that at that press conference. I said, this ain't no rah-rah session. The money is insignificant. I said, I want y'all to be aware of what happened to my 8 kids that I had to pull out of MSCS schools. How I had to meet my grandson who was in pre-K over at Grandwood Elementary School, how the principal of that school had to meet me to get my child at a gas station. How I had to miss his pre-K graduation because of a false AOA. See, these are things that folks need to know about. And I'm not the only parent that is going through these things. I'm the only parent that knows how to get loud about it.
My. Chocolate says, I knew they was going to go after him when he told them to follow the money.
We've been telling them that for years. Follow the money. We've been telling them that for years. We've been telling them that for years. There ain't no way you talking about $1.7 million. I don't care if it's $1.70. My student Dylan over here at Overton High School don't have stoves and ovens in his CCTE class. When you say that to me, that's what I'm thinking about. That young man has been ringing my phone off the hook. What about this teacher down at Holmes Road Elementary School called me and told me that the whole staff are teaching on waivers?
Lord have mercy.
What about this student that called? Let me put it into perspective for you. What about that father whose son died up there at Bolton High School on that football field? Who had to go through a reporter on a Facebook Live to even talk to the superintendent of schools?
Oh my God.
Come on now. Take Professor Morris out the equation. What about this 17-year-old over here at Tresman High School that I talked to, who's going to have to deal with congestive heart failure the rest of his life at 17 years old? Y'all don't understand. As a person with congestive heart failure, you don't understand what that young man is about to go through. All because a coach wanted to win and is still an employee in the district.
My God.
What about this lady who called me when her son, highly intelligent young man she was trying to get into Colonial, high functioning autistic, who's been fighting to get her son in Clue ever since he was at Hickory Ridge Elementary School, and I ran into her again at the board meeting. She about to shut the board down because nobody will talk to her about her child. What about this parent who I was in a Zoom meeting with the superintendent, with the board chair and the board vice chair, who told the regional superintendent in a call, the kids just walking in and out of Hamilton High School all day long. Hamilton High School is like a jail, and I implore anybody to go in there and sit for just a few hours. My niece, they sent me a truancy letter home for my niece. How did my niece miss 9 days out of one class and she's sitting on a 98A average? Somebody make it make sense. And my brother get mad at the secretary. He said, you ain't telling me nothing. He said, if my daughter's cutting class, I need to know that. You got fathers that are being shut out these schools. My brother lost his wife. He's a single parent father. This is new to him. But he's up there about his child. And he can't get an explanation. I can't get an explanation. So here's what the board does. See, because here's one thing about it. I'm big on accountability. And I'm also big on atonement. Atonement plus integrity equals accountability. What's the first rule of mental health? You got to identify that you have a problem before you can treat a problem. So if you don't believe you're an alcoholic, how am I going to treat you? If can't nobody tell you that, hey, you got a problem, you're alcoholic. You know, how does that work? And I think that's one problem that's wrong with the district. They don't think they have a problem.
No, they don't. I've never seen a board, and I'm talking about that school board as a whole. I've never seen a board who totally just kick back against the people that elected them. I've never seen such in my life. These are the people that put you into office, and the way that the people have been totally treated is, to me, I really don't understand it.
A real good friend of mine, Tamara, told me this past weekend when we was at the Democratic Blue Wave Party. She said one or two things is going to happen this election. She said either people are going to go out and make the change that they're talking about, or we're going to roll along as things as usual. And there is a group of people out here who wants things to stay the same as usual. Now, let me go to the defense of the school board. Yes, the school board opened one door for the Republicans to come in here. But we're not thinking about the city council who's open doors, the county commission who's open doors. Because the Republicans are being slow and methodical about taking over this county. And I told everybody, with all these rumors flying around about elected officials being brought up on charges, all of that stuff, I ain't gonna believe it till I see it. However, I do know that the state legislature is putting things in place. They have diminished the powers of the DA's office almost to nothing. So if or when these indictments come down that these people are talking about, he's going to be powerless to stop them.
Wow.
Y'all have to use your third eye to see what's really going on. Just like I said with the firing of Dr. Fagans. That was calculated. It's clear as day. Now, how that ruling is going to come through, I don't know. I know Robert Spence. I know how he moves. He was the attorney on the school board 5. They tried to make it a collusion case. All of us was in cahoots. They kept on asking me, do you know Amber Sherman? Yeah, I know Amber Sherman. She's an activist in the city. Do you know LJ Abraham? Yes, I know LJ Abraham. She's an activist in the city. It ain't like we going out and we partying over each other's house and everything like that, but that's what he tried to make it out to be. And one of the things I pushed back on board chair Natalie McKinney about, you and Cardell Owen got up in the school board and told the folks, they had this kind of secret meeting. I wasn't even there. I was running for city council at the time. And my PR team and my campaign manager, even one of my disability advocates was sitting in the board meeting when we got kicked out for those AOAs. I didn't find out, and I told Natalie McKinney this to her face, I didn't find out till I got till Robert Spence was questioning me on that stand. Well, they said Cardell Owen and Natalie McKinney was representing y'all in that meeting, because one of the things that got them in that case was they claimed that before you issue an AOA, it was supposed to be a mediation meeting. Okay? A lot of folks don't know that. And they said that they had a meeting with Cardell Owen and Natalie McKinney, and they represented the entire school board 5. That was a lie. And my campaign manager wrote a letter to the board and said that was a lie. Wrote a letter to the general counsel. I asked the communications department, because she gave me the email to send the thing. Let's see, I can't get away from that word corruption. She gave me the email to send the letter to. And I gave it to my campaign manager. My campaign manager, George P. Brooks at the time, I asked her, I said, well, did you get the letter from my campaign manager? Because not only did he send it to the school board, he sent it to the superintendent, he sent it to the governor, he sent it to everybody, and said, nobody represents Damon Curry Morris, or this one is for the people. but these particular people, and he listed them all in there, all the way down to my PR firm, who were always who were all the way down in Dallas, Texas. Candace Joseph. So we don't know who these, and I testified to that on the stand. He was like, well, they said Cardell Owen and Natalie McKinney represented you. I told Robert Spence, I said, if your name is not George P. Brooks, Africa Howe, Candace Joseph, I went down the line, sitting there on the stand. Then you don't represent me. Just like right now, I have an assistant. My nephew does my social media. He's watching right now. He's sitting up here texting me, telling me what to say, what not to say. So I have a team. So this is the kind of corruption, and I can sit here and talk to you for hours about this, Tamara. But we've been on the phone over 2 hours now. You know, it's just so much that I told everybody that can't get out. And everybody's asking, well, why should we vote for you? This ain't no revenge tour. I want to make that to everybody that's watching this. This ain't no revenge tour. This is serving that little young man that I just showed y'all sitting in my truck, who's had to endure a lot of this trauma.
This is a necessary election. It is. It's a necessary election. And what I'm going to do is, because even on here, we've been on here like 2 hours and almost 15 minutes. When I put it on, I don't know if you've seen my show on Comcast, but I'm going to it's an hour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, this one will be played in part 1 and part 2. And then when I bring you back, we'll continue on. This stuff has to get out. And one of the reasons people ask me, because I remember when I started out on Comcast, I was coming on right before Thaddeus. And often in the beginning, people used to get me confused with another young lady that had been around, Thaddeus, and because our names were kind of similar. But and then I started doing my gospel show. And one of the reasons that even when I thought about, my dad passed away, I thought about it, I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't do TV anymore. I shouldn't do, but there are a lot of older people, okay, that don't do social media, and they still look at TV. They still believe in having that remote control in their hand. I built my audience up from 2014. They look forward to those gospel shows. When my dad passed away and I was running reruns, they was calling me, Gal, when are you going to come back? Girl, when are you going to come back? And that's one of the reasons why, even in those segments of having people on it, now technology has advanced where I can do my blog and then download it when people can't come into the studio and put it on the show. It is necessary to keep especially the older people that get out and vote and look at TV, to keep them informed. And I've decided I'm going to do the vlog and I'm going to keep my TV show too. Okay, because it is necessary, just as this election is necessary. It's a lot of people don't really know what is going on. They just know that something is not working and some things are not right, and they don't know the detail. And it's time for them to know the details of what is going on so that they can make informed decisions and change the face of politics in Memphis. And as I have been saying, and I say it, and I don't really care what nobody think or say, my dad was unbought and unbossed. My dad was a union guy. Everybody that you see that's on that ballot that is in a position right now, the way that we change the face of Memphis is because here's the thing, and my dad used to be right about this. Everybody tries to take advantage of the African American people. Memphis and Shelby County is majority African American. There's no reason why we should be in the position that we're in when we have majority Black people in office. It is time to show people not to play with us. And the way that we do that is we don't allow them to play musical chairs. We don't keep voting for people that ain't doing a damn thing for us. We make them one-term politicians. We got it bad about voting based on race and voting based on name recognition. recognition, even when they did a damn thing for us. Start to put new leadership with new ideas into office. Everybody that has been in seat that is running again, vote for the people that's running against them, because they ain't did a damn thing. That's how we teach people not to play with the Black community. They play on our emotions and our intelligence, and it is very embarrassing to me that you got a lot of Black people doing it. My dad used to always say the worst kind of person is a sellout Black person, because they can get them to do things, i.e. we see is going on right now with the Black face in office that a white man might not even do. So we got to start putting bold people that is bold enough to rise up and say, listen, I don't agree with what's going on. And they speak out about it. They try to label those people as crazy and the troublemakers, okay? I say all the time, anytime you hear people saying, well, you know, don't vote for this person, and you ain't seen nothing that they've done other than be vocal, that might be the person you need to vote for, because it's something that they are trying to hide. That means they're bucking against that system that has kept us oppressed. Okay, so it's time for us to open our eyes. It really is. That's the reason why this election is necessary. Okay, it's necessary.
And you're right, Tamara, you're right. It's necessary. I said this at a candidate forum. I said the school board races are the most, I believe, are more important than the mayor's race. I said, I really do.
The children are our future. And you said a mouthful when you said these kids, if you know, kids that are poverty stricken, what they're doing to our kids right now is plain criminal. It is. It's plain criminal. And it's hurtful to me that you see a lot of Black people doing it to line their pockets. A lot of these people came out of these same neighborhoods, Damon, that these same impoverished neighborhoods, they saw their mothers struggle. They saw their parents and stuff struggle. How could you get elected and then continue what they've been doing to us all along? And you saw the struggle, you know the struggle. Ain't nobody got to tell these people what these folks are going through in South Memphis, North Memphis, Orange Mound. They've seen the poverty, they've lived in it. And you got no shame to get your ass in office and sell out? It's got to be called out.
Money is the root of all evil. I told a group of friends of mine the other day. I said, because somebody gave me some information, and I know it came from a reliable source, Tamara, and they were telling me, they was like, hey, so-and-so did this to you, you know, and gave this contact to one of your opponents. And I verified that information. And I just told a real prominent group here in Orange Mound, and I told them, I said, look, y'all, I'm finna have to take a step back. I said, because Judas is real and the love of money is real. Just like I just told y'all, a real good friend of mine. I ain't had no qualms with him. If I allow you, Tamara, let me tell you something. That young man I just showed y'all in that truck with me. Mm-hmm. If I allow you around him, you got to be somebody I truly trust. And when you violate that, because if I can't trust you, how am I going to trust you around my child?
Absolutely.
You know, so you can say what you want to about me. You can say me about cussing, or one lady talking about me, oh, you disrespect women. No, I said disrespect. Let me quote Malcolm X again. I don't want nobody to get me misconstrued. Disrespect will be met with disrespect. Okay? I'm not going to let you run over me. Now, I'm the most diplomatic person in the world. Come on, let's have a discussion. One of the ladies that was really criticizing me on Facebook, Tamara, me and her met face to face with a real good friend of mine this weekend. And once we talked, it was all gravy. She sent me the nicest message into my inbox. She was like, she was like, I really got to know you today. And that's what a lot of people don't really know me. They know about what they see. They go by what they see. But I'll tell you, even one mayoral candidate, and he's a sitting city councilman now. He said this on the council. If Damon Morris is somewhere going off, there's been an email sent, there's been a phone call made, and nobody has responded. And that's true. That's true. Because I just don't blow. What I tell you at the beginning of this call, what I tell you, I'm a diplomat.
Mm-hmm.
I had a school board candidate right now came and approached me this past Saturday like he was finna whoop my tail.
Wow.
Because I asked a question. And everybody was like, you should have got that on camera. I said, everything ain't for the book, y'all. I told the young man, hold on, brother. Let's talk about it. I mean, he was really aggressive. Everybody called me aggressive. I was like, wait a minute. I said, hold on a minute. Wait a minute, brother. Let's talk about what's going on. I said, because I ain't said nothing about you. I asked a question when the information was brought to the community. I said, as a parent, as a constituent, I said, even I want everybody to vet me. I said, I have the right to ask those questions if you're going to represent this school board. Because my children go to MSCS schools. So I had a question. And we come to find out, me and the young man had a lot in common. All it takes is a conversation. But you have people with secret hidden agendas. No matter what you say, they want what they want.
Well, Damon, this has been a great conversation. I'll say we just gonna have to put a bookmark because we ain't finished. It's a lot going on, and I definitely now you all have primaries now, right?
Right. So this, where you're voting on tomorrow, starting tomorrow. The early voting starts tomorrow, 15th through the 30th. Early voting starts tomorrow, the 15th through the 30th. You all, the election day, this is the primary. Now, since I don't have an opponent, since I have an opponent for the primary, whoever wins the primary, they don't have a Republican challenger. Okay? So you will automatically win the seat. Because, I mean, your name will go back on the ballot, but it will just be there on the Democratic side, and it won't be a Republican challenger. So you do have to go back to the polls, but it won't be anybody to vote for but the Democratic nominee. Okay, if that I know it sounds confusing, but that's how the process is. So essentially, if you win the primary, you've won the election.
How many people do you have running against you?
4 other people. George Doris Coleman, who is the incumbent, John Carroll, Tamara Jordan, Dr. Tamara Jordan, and Louis Morganfield.
Okay. So
those are the people that are in the race for Memphis Shelby County School Board District 9. And I can say, even with the incumbent, I'm leagues ahead of them. And somebody told me, my uncle, who's a politico, he told me, he said, you actually overqualified to be on the school board.
I really thought Joyce Doris Coleman would bow out gracefully. Because, there were rumors that she wasn't going to run again. And I was like, well, good.
And she told a lot of people, I'm being transparent. She told a lot of people that, and a lot of people are angry with her because she did tell them that. Now, she's entitled to run. She's entitled to change her mind. But what it looks like now is somebody's putting her up to run.
To split votes.
Exactly. That's another point.
You gotta know the way people was angry at her when the way that she conducted herself when they fired Dr. Oh my God. I mean, I said, well, the good thing about it is the lady knows when to bow out. And then I see that she's running again. I said, you're kidding me.
And I have nothing to say about Joyce. Me and Joyce, like I said before, worked on many programs together. I have nothing to say about. I have nothing bad to say about her. I said, but when the situation happened, she didn't handle it well. Even me and several community members had called her and said, "Look, we're trying to help you, Joyce. What can we do to help you?" And the conversation turned ugly.
Wow.
I mean, she accused me of trying to hang her. I didn't want to run for the board. As your constituent, I wanted to help you. Even when I called the town hall, I had no intentions of running for school board. But I wanted to give the community a voice. As an elected leader, that's what you're supposed to do. And I'm going to tell you something else that somebody else told me today. You know, somebody's pulling the strings behind there and getting her to run again. These same folks who have been controlling this, with all of the stuff that came out, with everything that you haven't atoned to, what makes you think that you're going to atone to it if you get back in office? And that's the same thing I put towards Michelle McKissick. That made me angry. Yes, that made me angry. Why are you going to sit here and talk about transparency? You all are not first-term board members. Does that make sense? You're talking about transparency. You've been on this board almost 10 years.
Michelle McKissick has been on the board almost 10 years.
Michelle McKissick, how many terms is this for Michelle McKissick? I think this is her third term she's running for. It might be her fourth. I know she's been on that board a long time. And you just not talking about transparency.
I do know that she was definitely in my district against her. I had no doubts that I would have won. I was prepared to win.
Well, Tamara, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Well, you know, and also one of the things that I did when with some of these people, and I really hate to, because I'm looking at the city elections. I have to pray about it, because I know me, I can't be bought and paid for. But one of the things that I did was I started to look at when I wanted to thought about running for school board, especially the person that I was going to be running against, is you're able to look at who supports these people, who gives them money. And you're able to tell a lot. I mean, I know a person will put on one face, and I'm just saying in general. But, you know, you have to look at the people who have a consistent pattern of supporting these people. You know, I don't think as the Bible says, two men can't walk together unless they agree. You know, you say you're for one thing, but you got these Republicans that give you tons of money that really push privatizing schools. So, you know, I kind of look into stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I can't see, especially Republicans supporting someone that says that they are a Democrat, and putting money behind them if they are not in agreement on some things. Mm-hmm. Mm. But, you know, Damon, I hope, not hope, because we've already prayed and put into the atmosphere that God is changing some things around. Memphis is a beautiful city. It is. I love Memphis. It's just that it's the politics of a lot of the people that have been in politics that has helped to take our city down through there. And I really believe that God is helping us to push this change, and a change has to come. A change has to come, and I believe that the time is now.
Either if you want something differently, you're gonna do something. If you want something different, you're gonna do something differently. That's just as simple as that.
Well, Damon, I appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed you being on here. I'm gonna have to get you back on. Now you said early election starts tomorrow through what?
Tomorrow through the 30th, and then election day is on the 5th.
Okay, so we'll have to have you back one day before the 30th, so we can. I, I, I really wish I could have you on here next week and the week after. Like, let's see, I need to have you on here definitely either on the 29th or the 30th. Let's see if I have you on here the 29th or the 30th. I need to have you on here one day next week. So if I have you on one day next week, then I could air you on Comcast again. And then let's see, the 5th, I can have you on like the 29th or the 30th, and then I could air you on the 2nd also. Because we're going to get this message out for sure. But Damon, I appreciate you coming on. I hope that you look at your schedule and let me know when you could come back on, because I want to
Okay.
get you back on before early election is over, and then right before the general election. And so that we can get people acclimated on the TV show and on here with seeing your face, with knowing your name, and knowing especially around your district on who to vote for. I want
All
you to
right.
I want you to know that I appreciate what you do as far as your fight for Memphis. I definitely stand with you. Okay. It's more people stand with you than you know. I think a lot of people have felt that I'm not one of those people that have felt like I was, weak. But I think a lot of people just felt, oh, ain't no need of me doing nothing. Nothing is going to work. But to see how strong you all are and how vocal you all have been, I think that's a great thing. Okay. I think it's a great thing. And you all are helping to change the tone in this city. And I really appreciate that.
Well, I thank you for your time, and I thank you for reaching out to me, because this is a lot more than we can get out in a candidate forum. And I think this will educate voters on who to vote for, and who's best for this district. No offense to anybody, but I've done the work. People have seen my work. I try to give people my push cards. They tell me I don't need that. I know I'm voting for you. You've done the work. We've seen it. So it's not about going down advocating or arguing with the board. I have several pleasant conversations with board members. That board member in District 7 that's coming after me, I helped her get elected.
Wow.
Kevin Woods, who came off the board, told her in her face, you need to listen to him. He knows what he's doing. But did she choose to do that? Had she done that, she probably wouldn't be as criticized as she is now. It wasn't about me getting no position or me wanting to be around her or anything else. I helped out a friend. Plain and simple.
Wow.
Same thing goes for the other two board members I helped get elected.
Wow.
That's as simple as that. I'm not look, I'm ready to retire, Tamara. I don't look for validation from anybody. When that young man comes in the door and he calls me granddaddy, that's my validation. When my other 4 grandkids call me granddaddy, that's my validation. When nephew Prime called me on the phone, say, how you doing, Unc? That's my validation. When my mama calls me on the phone and say, how you doing, son? That's my validation. When my Aunt Shirley, who just called me today, baby, we finna take this home this time. When all of the Gwens, the Currys, and the Morrises are flooding this city because we represent over almost 100 years of education. Y'all do the right thing. And let's make a significant change in this city.
Mika, shout out to Mika, the young lady, what's that, UAX? She said, yep, we sure did help her, and it was a slap in our face. Shout out to Mika.
Mm-hmm.
Mika been in here the whole 2.5 hours rooting you on, Damon.
We have. We really did. It wasn't to get anything. That was our friend. We rolled with her. When people was coming after her, we was defending her.
Wow.
It's so much I can say.
You can't talk a lot about it, but what do you? Because I've been watching that. Where did the ball drop at?
The ball dropped when she got on that board, because she got money hungry.
Wow.
I stopped speaking to her. Look, I don't know why she's coming after me, because I haven't said anything about her. Now, I did blast her out when she did what she did to Artasia over there at Sheffield. How are you going to insert Kenny Lee into that situation when y'all didn't do anything? And you know what you did, and then you gave them an award. Forget giving us an award at the board. Why you didn't give it to Artasia? See, that's what we're talking about, what's best for children.
Mm-hmm.
And then you rewarded that principal with a regional superintendent's job.
Wow.
Just so the district could say, well, we got her out of Sheffield like they wanted. She'll never go back over there. But when Artasia and them did their paperwork and did their research, and Miko backed me up on this, did their research, Tamara, did their research, they found out that they moved her over to Sheffield for an incident from the school that she came from. Same thing. So she been given too many passes, just like this boy been given too many passes.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? And let me make this clear, I'm not an advocate for anybody losing their job. But if you're not doing your job, as I told Mary Young a couple of weeks ago, if you're not, as I told Councilwoman Pearl Walker a couple of weeks ago, if you're not doing your job, then you need to let somebody else in there that is going to do the job. That's a simple concept. Hey, it ain't working out. Let me get somebody here that's going to make it work.
All right, Damon. What we're gonna do is we'll continue this, but we need for everyone to get out. Early voting starts tomorrow. It's time to speak with your vote. It's time to rock the vote and speak. A lot is because we could talk and talk and talk, but what we got to do is we got to get out and show people how we feel. Tell them and then show them by getting out and voting. And then that's when people start to pay attention. Okay, they doing wrong. They get to think about, hey, I did wrong. Because see, people tend to continue what they do if there are no consequences. But when you get out and you start voting people out and not vote based on name recognition, race, or just because a person has been in a position on, especially when they've done a piss poor job like we've been seeing, all of the outrage, just remember how you felt when things were done. Yes, vote when things were done. Just remember those moments and get out and let people know that you still have the power, because the power lies within the people, okay? The power lies within the people. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to take our power back, because what has been going on in Memphis and Shelby County, if you ask me, is criminal. I'm so happy The people have started to remove the veil and open their eyes, and it's time to take back. This election is necessary because it's about taking back our power. Okay? I want everybody to remember that. It's necessary because it is about taking back our power. It has been a pleasure having you on here, Damon.
Mhm. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for this time. And I really would enjoy the follow up, and hopefully you all get. I just want to say this final word. Hopefully, you all get out both Professor Damon Curry Morris, Memphis Shelby County School Board District 9, and we bring this home, and we bring some more. We bring some integrity to the Memphis Shelby County School Board, because that's what you're going to get. I'm going to be a fighter for the parents. I'm going to be a fighter for the students, the teachers, the plant managers, the assistants, the cafeteria workers, all of them I have a hand in. And I think we all should have a fair, equitable school system for all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Damon, for coming up. I want to thank you all for tuning in. As always, hey, I think you all are the best. I'm so happy that, like I said, his district is he as a matter of fact, he lives in Orange Mound. Okay. We have a lot of people that tune in from Orange Mound. And this is the opportunity to help to change the face, to do something about what has been happening in Memphis as far as the politics. We have the power to change what is going on. Well, thank you so much, Damon. I'll be touching bases with you to have you back on next week and a week after that too.
All right,
So that we can bring this on home.
Let me get this young man ready for this teacap in the morning.
All right, darling. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too.
All right.
Real talk with Tamara, where conversations are real,
Hey, Sean, you need to get your bath, son.
voices are heard, and the real starts here. The real starts here. The real starts here. No filter, no fear. Truth in the mic, let the whole world hear. Stories unfold, voices sincere. Welcome to the place where the real starts here. From life and love to the latest news. Community voices, different views. Breaking it down so we all stay clear. Honest conversations live right here. Speak your truth, let it be known. This is the space where your voice has a home. No judgment here, just real and clear. Real talk with Tamara, the real starts here. Real talk with Tamara. Real people. Real stories. Real truth.